This is the New Zealand Secondary School Orienteering Champs.
Our premier event for school sports across the country.
For many of these kids, this is the event that they've been looking forward to throughout the year so far.
We've just had the South Island and the North Island Secondary Schools Champs. The South Islands were down in Gore and Balclutha, and the North Islands were just hosted just north of Auckland. So this is when all of the kids from across the country can come together and meet up with old friends and meet new friends, and also to compete in our top event for them for the year.
Well, today's an urban sprint event, so we've tried to create some courses that focus on leading the kids through some tricky, intricate terrain through two educational facilities, Leebank Primary and James Cook High, who have been generous enough to share their campuses with us today. And also about a third of some of the courses will be running through the park as well. So they've got a bit of open ground to be covering today, as well as the lots of corners and confusing buildings to be working their way around. The approach course is trying to set them such that they will test the students in all their facets of orienteering, their navigation skills, their fitness levels, and also their mental skills, decision fatigue and elements like that. But most importantly, from my perspective, they're going to have fun. We try and set the courses such that the students will get an opportunity to learn and develop their skills, and we as coaches will also get the opportunity to learn about their performance and design future training to make them even stronger and help them develop faster and more competitive on the international theatre. It's going to be wet, so they're going to need to take care. Some of the concrete will be slippery, and there are certainly some sections which are going to be a bit muddy, especially for the students that are starting later in the day. So there's certainly going to be some muddy finishes coming through the finish shoot today.
As we see Sam carry into the finish, he's going to take a big lead.
Three kids have just come back from the Junior World Champs in Portugal.
They only were competing last weekend over on the other side of the world. We haven't been able to go for the last 3 years, so because of COVID restrictions.
First of all, Emily Hayes. Emily comes from a long line of orienteers.
An ex-student from here in Auckland, but is currently at Mount Aspiring College down in Wanaka.
Her older brother Tommy, he's actually came second at the Junior World Champs, and definitely a strong one to watch.
And we've also got Zara Stewart from St Cuthbert's School here in Auckland.
She has also come back from Portugal, where she's had a lot of success and great results. She also participated in the European Youth Orienteering Champs, where her results were also excellent. So I expect Zara to be a very strong contender today.
And we've got Felix Hunt, who is from Shirley Boys High School down in Christchurch.
Felix has also come back from the Junior World Champs in Portugal, where he was one of the stars of the boys team. He's competing in the senior boys grade today. He's from the South Island, and he's very much the strong favourite to take that one out. Really a guy who's come up very quickly in the last few years, and has been really dominating in his grades, so definitely a name to watch out for today in the senior boys.
The three of them have done very well overseas on their first time there. It's very hard for New Zealanders to head over to the other side of the world, as we know, for all sports, but they were competing in temperatures that were like in the high 30s at the start of this heat wave that we're having at the moment. And they had all the forest events all cancelled on them, and the organisers quickly organised some sprints in and around some of the towns similar to what we're going to be experiencing here today, and they did very, very well on the world stage. You know, not top 20s or anything, but for us as a small country from outside of Europe, which is the dominant area for the sport, they've represented us amazingly.
Orienteering is very much a growing sport in New Zealand. It's experienced a huge amount of growth in the last 10 years, and it's really gaining a lot of recognition at the moment. And as a result of that, we're seeing a lot of the kids' skills improving, and the competition becoming a lot more, I guess, fierce and a lot more intense.
There are many outsiders. It's the beauty about orienteering in Auckland. We've got Daniel Woods, who's from County's Manukau Orienteering Club, but we've got Callum Wishart and Liam Bjork, both from Auckland Orienteering Club, that I'd say in the senior boys. Definitely coming up from Christchurch, also Tyler McCavitt, who goes to the same school as Felix of Shirley Boys High School. Tomorrow in the long distance, Riley Croxford might be the last one, but unfortunately because he's not here today, he's coming up from Motueka High School. In the girls, we've got Molly McGowan from Mount Albert Grammar School, and we've got Isabel Zinzan from Cashmere High School. They'll probably be the top two that could threaten both Zara and Emily for some of the top spots today, I think. It's all down to your run on the day, and one mistake in sprints can basically lose you the race.
Molly, how did your race go today?
I had a pretty good race. I just tried to be really clean with all of my legs. The legs were feeling a bit heavy, so I lost a bit of time at the end on the field legs, but I just tried to be really clean and really assertive with my exit and entering and just navigation.
And in first place, Molly McGowan.
I've been racing those girls for lots of years, like since I started, and I'm quite good friends with them as well. And obviously coming back from Portugal, like they did amazing achievements, not only to just get over there, but when they were over there as well. But I just tried to block out and ignore the competition and just run my own race, and what happens, happens. And luckily it tipped in my favour.
Third place, senior boys, Tom H. Second place, Nicholas Green. First place, Felix Hunt.
Felix, how did your run today go?
Quite good. I knew going into the race that I had good speed, so I just tried to start carefully and push the pace up as the race went on, so that I'd have a good result and I didn't lose the race early.
Awesome, yeah, it was a bit of a narrow victory. I think 16 seconds was the margin between you and Nicholas Green. What was the key difference, do you think, between you two?
Yeah, well, I made a few small mistakes, so it was quite even coming out of the buildings. But I think, although our speeds were pretty similar, just on those last few field legs, I think I was just able to push a little bit harder and eke those few seconds out that gave me the victory.
And Felix has slotted into first place in the senior boys. Just 16 seconds ahead of Nicholas Green. Great run from Felix.
Really interesting course we have today out here at the New Zealand Secondary Schools Long Champs. It's a mixture of farmland and forest.
Today my role is the course planner or setter, so I've been able to design the courses for everyone today. 12 courses total of different varying difficulties.
The farmland's really interesting. It's gigantic sand dunes with grass over it, and what that means is that the terrain is really knobbly. So there's a lot of knolls and small kind of hills and bigger hills, and a lot of dips that are really hidden. And that makes it quite hard to spot the controls from a distance. So you have to be very, I guess, assertive with your orienteering. You've got to push really hard with your navigation into the control and be really confident. Confidence is key out here.
So there's different difficulties for the age groups, but you go over this other side of the forest here, and it's a pretty grunty land, so I think it'll be a physical battle.
So you've got to switch from this farmland where you can see a very long way and you pick out the big features, to this forest area where suddenly you can't see anywhere near as far, and the challenge is more to read the smaller details, which is quite tricky when there's not much visibility.
Yeah, I think I've designed it so that they're going to be obviously pretty buggered by the time they've been able to finish on the farmland, so I think once they finish that and come back into the forest with a bit trickier terrain in here, it's going to hopefully might trip a few up, but yeah, especially being close to the finish and being tired, so yeah, we'll see how they go, we'll see how they handle it.
Senior Girls Championship for the long today. In third place, Eva Wadsworth. In second place, Zara Stewart. And first place, congratulations, Molly McGowan.
I think because this is such an interesting terrain, we've seen a few runners come out of the woodwork, perhaps have been training really hard up for this competition, and for them maybe the terrain suited them and suited their technical abilities. So if we look at the senior girls, for example, Eva Wadsworth came in third place, and perhaps not one of the favourites coming into it, but she had a really strong race and navigated really well, and it just shows the depth, I think, of the fields, and that for many runners, this is a competition they can come out of the woodwork and really do well, and if they've trained up well for it and prepared as best they can. How did your run go today? How did you find the course?
Well, I knew coming into it that it was going to be very physically demanding from seeing the terrain beforehand. So when I was out there, I just really tried to push myself, especially up the hills, and just kind of ignore the physical fatigue, but not too much that it was hindering my navigation. And I just tried to be really clean into all my controls and out of them. But then the big change coming into the forest, I had to really change up my mindset, and I think I made that transition pretty well. And yeah, I had a good run.
So what do you think made the difference today in the race to give you just that little edge over Zara again?
Well, I know from kind of looking at it that coming out of the hilly section we were actually quite even. So I think I haven't done much hill work, but I just really tried to push myself anyway. But I know that I think that extra edge I had on her was gained in the forest and near the end. But again, I just really tried to push through kind of the pain in my legs and the fatigue that I was feeling, because I knew from yesterday's race that we were kind of in similar forms. So yeah, I just tried to really, but again, focus on my own race. And the forest is a lot similar to what I run in and train in Woodhill, so it was what I'm quite used to, especially with running North Islands a couple of days ago. The terrain was quite similar. Very
impressive result from Molly today, and I think it shows that she's in tip-top shape, and perhaps has peaked a little bit later in the season than Zara and Emily, who've just returned from the Junior World Orienteering Champs in Portugal, and perhaps just been better prepared for these races. She's probably been looking forward to them for a long period of time, and it's been a great opportunity for her to show, I guess, how good her preparations were, and really come out and fight strongly and put into really impressive performances.
Senior Boys Championship, we have Marcus Brennan in third place.
So Marcus Brennan's another name. It's a really impressive result from him to come out of the woodwork and become third in the Senior Boys. And it probably just shows that he's prepared really, really well for this race, and then just had a really good approach to the technical aspects of the race, so handling the tricky control sites and the transition into the forest, but then also running really fast, clearly, and yeah, really smashing out a good run.
Riley Croxford in second place, and Felix Hunt in first place.
Felix, how did your race go today?
Really good. I had lots of fun. The terrain was awesome and it was a great course. So I really pushed hard from the start and just managed to keep it mainly clean and push all the way to the end. And it was great fun. So
it was quite a physical course today with a lot of hills, and you've just returned back from the Junior World Orienteering Champs in Portugal. In fact, I believe you only just got off the plane on Tuesday. So do you think that had any impact today on running up the hills, being so physical out there?
Yeah, I was feeling pretty good actually, better than I expected. Definitely on the way back, it impacted me a lot less than on the way there. Coming from New Zealand to Portugal, the change in heat was really impacting me, and I felt found it quite tough in the really hot temperatures. But coming back here and it's a lot cooler, and I found it quite easy to transition.
There was a section of the course out there today with a lot of bushes and hills, and that required a lot of sort of route choice thinking. How did you handle that section? That was quite a decisive part of the race.
Yeah, I really tried to make sure I kept ready my map and kept on top of all the navigation, so that I was running ahead and felt in control of the race in that section, which is good.
Well, you must have handled it very well because you had a very imposing victory today.